All right, ready? Yes, it's over. Signing day, 2015. It's been a interesting year in recruiting, along with all the social media and everything that's all new and being added into recruiting. But I'm proud of our coaches, Greg Bruner, our recruiting coordinator, everybody involved, especially proud of our players, because your players are the ones that sell your football team. When they come to campus, they sell the recruits, they get to know them, they talk to them, and they have to be as good of recruiters as your coaches. And it's been a good year. This is a class that we've had 2 years in which to try to put together. Next year we'll have 3 years. Knowing a lot of these guys, you know, from camps and from coming to games and going to watch them play, it's been an interesting process. But again, proud of our coaches and how they've evaluated and gone out and sold the city of Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati, and the football and athletic program. It's been a lot of fun. Met a lot of good people, got a lot of good parents that are involved in all these kids that we've signed today, and that goes a long way in making for a good football player and a student athlete and somebody that's going to be helpful to your football program to try to win games. As always, I go after speed. There's two things, speed and quickness, and then, of course, big guys, linemen. And today we signed 10 linemen that I think are really going to help us, several from this state and surrounding area. We had to battle a lot of teams on most of these linemen, and you know that you're after the right ones when you have to have those battles. Speed is essential to winning championships and having a consistent program. And we went all over for speed. We went to California, we went to Texas, we went to Florida. Of course, we went from around this area. We finished up our recruiting day with a wide receiver from Miami, Florida, that every conference had teams that was trying to recruit this kid, Kahil Lewis, and he committed to us around 1 o'clock, and so we kind of finished that off with a great note, and he was one of the kind of guys that was hanging on the limb, wondering what he was going to do. But I think he saw an opportunity with all the seniors, wide receivers that we have coming back next year to come in and learn, and then find his way into a starting position maybe next year, or if not next year, the year after that. So it was fun to watch this class come together. We needed running backs. We needed some young guys to come in. Taylor Boos is a kid that we were signed out of Virginia. And he's kind of one of these social media guys. We don't do a lot of input into a state that far away. We have to have some reason to go after a kid like that. And his highlights were all over the internet. We looked at it. We made phone calls. Then obviously we went out and watched him last spring, got him to come to camp. And one thing led to another, and I think we got a heck of a running back, along with a couple of other people. But that's just kind of how we put it together. So it's good for this class to finally materialize and see it all come together here the last day. We really didn't lose anybody that we were after in the last couple of weeks. It kind of worked out well. It was one of those things that as we all look at, we're hoping it falls together in the last couple of weeks, and it did for us this year, so we're excited about this. I think this group, obviously as a total group for us being here only 3 years, 3 recruiting classes, that this is the better one because we know more about them. We've had an opportunity to put a lot of input on what they've done, how they've worked out, their weight, watched them in camps and doing all those things, and really get to know the player and the coaches at the high school. So hopefully this is something that will continue to build year in and year out the more we're here, because the more consistency you have with your coaching staff, the better your recruiting classes are going to be, because you can go out and sign all those big-time players you want, but when they come in, and the bottom line is if they can't play, they can't play. We go out and look at the guys and evaluate the ones that we want to run our offense and defense and our kicking game, and we felt like we've got a great addition to this group. Now, we signed 17 today, 17 or 18, guys, today. 18 today, and then we had 8 come in at semester, which is really going to help for next year with experience. So the 18 new guys won't be here until the summer. Most will start around June the 1st, and they'll get going and after their high school graduations or finish up junior college, and there'll be an addition starting in June and get ready for the next year's football season. We did take a few junior college guys. We took one out of Texas that I think is really going to help us. Jalen is a guy that he's tall. He's a linebacker that can really run. And the other one is from Mississippi, and he's Lyndon Johnson. And yes, his middle name starts with a B. And we will call him LBJ. So it's pretty interesting how some of these names come about. But he's a good-sized young'un. He's 6'6", about 270 pounds, and he'll play defensive end, and he'll have a chance next year to really help this football team on the defensive side of the ball. So as a whole group, I'm really excited about the linemen, really excited about the speed and the quickness we have on offense and defense that we've added to this team. And then, of course, a quarterback, which everybody wants to talk about it, Ross Trail from Arkansas, who we got in on early, and fortunately we did because he hung with us as time went on, and he had a great senior year, and I think he's going to be a great addition to our quarterbacks because, as we all know, we ended up very short at quarterback. So we'll give him an opportunity to come in June and learn what's going on and possibly give us some help next year if need be. Questions?
Coach, can you talk about what kind of quarterback Ross is and kind of elaborate on what he does for your program?
Yeah, he's a better athlete probably than the other quarterbacks we have here in terms of running. Now, throwing the football, that's kind of his forte. He's a big kid that I think is perfect for us. We like a pocket passer, somebody that's going to stay in the pocket and throw the ball. Doesn't hurt if he can run a little bit to run around and make a big play sometimes out of a bad one. But Ross it comes from a football family. His dad played it in Memphis. His uncle played at Arkansas, and he's a gym rat. He's one of those kids that just loves football. He's around it all the time. We evaluated him through our camps, and fortunately we're able to get him to come up and be around our coaches, and that's real beneficial when you're looking at a player that you've got to really look at his development and where he's at and what he can do in the future, especially a quarterback. So he came in the summer and offered him a scholarship. We got on him, as I said, early, and he held with us all the way through, and it's going to be very beneficial for the Bearcats over the years because he is going to be a good quarterback.
How big of a selling point was the fact your offense, you guys did throw a lot. You weren't afraid to throw downfield. We all know the issues you had developing a running game as the year went on. But in terms of recruiting, when you were able to throw the ball and you can show recruits that, how big of an advantage is that for you?
We're one of the few teams that does throw the ball as deep down the field as a lot of other teams across the country. Some of these teams run this chuck and duck stuff where they throw it 3 yards and hope to break a tackle. And we do some of that, but we like to throw the ball deep. We throw verticals and stretch the field because we have receivers. And I think the addition to Gunnar Keel obviously gave us a lot of notoriety of, why did Gunnar Keel come here? One of the top players in the nation a few years ago. It was very important for Gunnar to have some success his first year, to kind of get away from that myth point and actually do something. And he was a very positive experience. Gunnar is going to be much better as time goes. Hopefully he can stay healthy. That's part of it. But I think just Gunnar doing what he did, was able to throw a lot of deep balls. That not only helped us with a quarterback like Ross Trail, but it also helped us with wide receivers like Kahil Lewis and some of the other guys that we signed, because they see pro routes, they see deep routes, post routes, all those things where they can learn to be route runners, learn coverages, understand how to play the game of football other than just catch 3 or 4 yard routes and then try to make a play on their athletic ability.
It's believed that Ohio, next year's recruiting class is one of the best in the state, that this year's down in that super. Some people are saying, did you spend any time recruiting the 2016 class today? Can you talk about the 2016 talent in Ohio this year?
Yeah, we started last year on 2016. That'll be the third year that we're here, and we started looking at those guys. Most of them are 9th graders. It will be a very good year next year in the Ohio area and the surrounding area. A lot of good linemen, but it was a good year this year. You're going to have you're going to have a lot of players from this state that will sign Division I every year, simply for the fact that football is big in high schools in the state, and there's very good coaching. And when you have those two combinations, you're usually going to have good classes most every year. So we've already started on 16. We've probably offered, 15 to 20 scholarships in this state already for next year. And, you just can't visit with them unless they're on campus. We had a lot of players that were juniors that came to our campus during football games this past year. Some are coming to basketball games. We have junior days just down the road where we invite all these kids to come into to a basketball game here, where we can show them facilities, get them on campus, and being around them as much as possible. That's what recruiting is about. You see all this today, which kind of finalizes it, but there's a lot of work that goes in between for these kids that you sign today that you needed to do years in advance to have really a good opportunity to get them on your campus to be able to sign them.
When you recruit offensive linemen, what are you looking for specifically in terms of quality?
We like our tackles to be 6'4" and above. We look slender, tight built with good athletic ability with long arms. I mean, that's pretty technical, but that's pretty much what we look for. You have to have big guys on the edges because of all the speed that you see now on defensive ends, college and in pro. It's no different. So you look for the taller guys, more athletic, maybe a little bit shorter guys at center and the two guards. Probably need to be a little stronger, but they still need to have athletic ability, because what everybody does now, you run the zone play, you run all the counter plays. Those guards have to be able to move and have to be able to run.
How have you been able to use the stadium renovation in recruiting?
We obviously used the stadium renovation this year big in our recruiting. Unfortunately, we didn't play a home game in football this year, so everything was done at Paul Brown. We had hundreds of kids come to campus, and we weren't able to show them the stadium. Only thing that they can see is either on official visits or on the website. It's going to be a lot more beneficial once we get into the stadium. But it did help. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of conversation. We had pictures at Paul Brown of Nippert, how it's going to look, when it's finished. But there's nothing like selling the original item that we'll have next year at this time. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun in September to be able to bring these kids in and see what we've been watching go up for the last 12 months, and it's really going to be nice. It's going to be something we're going to be all proud of. I think it's going to be an icon for the city of Cincinnati and for college football. Nippert Stadium, the renovation, and something, I think it'll be one of the, if not one of the nicest on-campus stadiums in the country.
You've been consistent about your feelings about the recruiting services and the rankings and things like that. How would you rank your three classes that you brought here to Cincinnati?
In reverse order, this would be our best, and last year would be our second best, and of course, having only a month, that would be our third best. But we feel their needs. You never know how these kids are going to turn out. I mean, you can see them in high school, and there's not a lot of difference between a 5-star and a 3-star in high school. Most of the time, it's usually the kids that have matured quicker physically that are the ones that get more stars or more attention. I'm looking for the kid that we can project that's going to grow 2 more inches, is going to get faster, is going to be stronger, but has work ethic. That's what doesn't go into these rankings, and that's what we look at. That's one of the number one things that we talk to these kids: how important is football to you? Do you want to be a good football player? Do you understand what the work is going to be like? Do you understand the time that it's going to take? Do you understand the competition? And if you just look at the Super Bowl, of all 44 starters, there was no 5-star recruits in the Super Bowl this past week. There were 4 4-stars, and the rest of them were 3 2 and 1-stars. And so that's almost 85%. And so these kids are not what they need to be as we speak today. Some of them played in leagues that were a little easier than others, and they dominated. We're looking for good football players that we can project, and we have to play God some. We have to think, okay, this guy's 5'11", but his dad's 6'2", and he's going to grow 2 or 3 more inches in the next year and a half, but he's got the work ethic to put the weight and strength on along with that. So we have to really look to the future when we sign these kids today. But a lot of these kids that are 4 and 5-star already hit peak of where they're going to be. And so you take a 3-star that's got a lot of growing to do and a lot of things that are in front of him, you can win a lot of football games.
As a coach, it must be comforting to not have your third class
kids that we've already recruited?
Well, now this is their third recruiting
Yeah.
class now. Now the roster's a lot of the kids that you recruited as opposed to your first year or your second year. So just talk about that.
Yeah, well, we're a lot more comfortable because we know the area, know what we need to do here. We know the teams that we're playing. We know the type of players that we play against, and so you look and understand that what type of receivers that you need, what type of defensive backs. Now we know in this league what we see most on defense in terms of the offenses that we play, that we have to have corners that can play a lot of man coverage. And so you start making more plans. We first got here, we didn't know what to expect. We just went out and tried to get the best players we possibly could get. Now we can go out and kind of specialize on players that we might need and might fill what we need.
What's the story on Trevon's story?
Pardon?
What's the story on recruit Trevon's story?
Oh.
You're recruiting to a school that has become called the Group of Five schools. Most recently, before this, you were in the Big 12 at Texas Tech. Do you see a difference in recruiting kids to a league that is one now called the Power Five, as opposed to what you're doing right now with the Group of Five?
Not really. I mean, you got to go out and evaluate your own. And most of these kids that we recruited were looked at and at one point or other recruited by most of the Power Five schools, to a certain point. And so there's a lot of luck involved in this. You want to try to cut out as much luck as you possibly can by looking and kind of comparing, the other schools, why they're looking at a certain type of player, why you're looking at them. Do you want to continue to recruit them? Can you, at the end, have an opportunity to sign that kid? But there's not a lot of difference in the Power Five, so-called Power Five, and our conferences. There's probably, you're going to see more than 4 or 5 stars that are already matured and will probably play quicker in the Power Five conferences, because they've got to the point where they're bigger and faster, probably than a lot of these kids that are 3 and sometimes even 4 stars. But those kids also come out earlier because of their athletic ability, and they've topped out. So again, you give me a bunch of hard-nosed 3-star players that'll stay with you for 4 or 5 years, then you're going to have a chance to beat a lot of folks.
Coach, how big of a role does present personnel play when you're recruiting players, be it Ross Trail, where he's coming under and learning from a great quarterback like Gunner, or receivers, you look at our current receiving corps and see so much talent?
Yeah, I think the first thing that players look at now, they specialize in certain type of defense or certain type of offense, and they look at that. And then they look at the coaches that coach, and is the school, are they cut and dried on what they want to do, or do they change back and forth each year? And we pretty much know what we're going to do on offense and defense, so that's helped us. We've been pretty consistent with our coaches, but bottom line, when it gets down to it, as I said earlier, your players are some of your best recruiters, and it really helps to have a Gunner Keel that's been there, done that. He's been recruited by everybody in this country. Could have gone anywhere he wanted. Went to one of the Power Five schools that the year before had gone to the national championship game, and then decides to go somewhere else. And I think that he answers a lot of questions to a lot of these kids. Maybe not just a quarterback, but also receiver, running back, and even offensive lineman. So I think it's beneficial to have a guy like Gunner on our team that understands, how to make a decision, why you make decisions. And I think it was obviously very instrumental on us signing some of these receivers and running backs, and also the quarterback that we signed in Ross.
Coach, you mentioned Power Five quite a bit. Is it important for you? Is it easier for you to recruit in the Power Five conference? Would you like to move to that?
I don't know. It's just going to depend. I know there's a lot of talk that there's going to be more teams taken in. I think there's going to be a lot of changes in college football in the next 3 years. I think there's going to be some divisions of the other conferences. That's just my thought. I think there's going to be some separation. But, everybody wants a bigger piece of the pie. Our competition is good. Where the recruiting for us is good. The problem that you have in, where we're at right now, obviously, is we don't make the money some of these teams make in terms of facilities. I mean, it's a war on facilities right now in some of these leagues. Now we're keeping up, but sooner or later, you know, we've got to be able to continue that fight along with the other teams. But, you know, we're all comfortable with what we're doing right now in the AAC. We were part champions in it this year. And I don't care what conference you're in, winning a conference championship is what you set out to do. But we don't want to be separated from some of the other things that they might do down the road. That's what's concerning to me.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.